Good morning, good afternoon, everyone joining in for the AI-powered ADEM enhancements and new features. And today we're going to talk about Prisma SASE's ADEM UCaaS integration, uh, very specifically focusing on the Microsoft Teams integration because I think a year ago we already announced the integration of ADEM with Zoom. But today, we are doubling down on that focus on UCaaS integrations by introducing and bringing in Microsoft Teams into the fold. And before getting into the details of it, just a quick agenda. We'll talk about the integrations, the basic value proposition of what this provides, and how ADEM and UCaaS integration can help customers enhance their experience of collaborative tools like Zoom and Microsoft Teams. We'll talk about the integration overview a little bit, how to configure the integration, a little about the architecture. And the biggest compelling value proposition of this is the root cause analysis, powered by synthetics of ADEM as well as call quality data with the integration with Microsoft Teams. And we'll go into how this combination helps us solve some real world use cases out there. We'll quickly look at the demo, and then because we have now two specific integrations, Zoom and Microsoft Teams, I'll just highlight quickly what is the main difference between them before going into the Q&A. All right, so let's jump right into it. Right, and with the proliferation of you know the work model being shifting deeply into remote and hybrid model, collaborative tools like Microsoft Teams and Zoom has played a big part in how we are productive in our work environment. And studies indicate that 40% and more of our day-to-day productivity at workplace involves meetings. Right? When you are in a meeting, and we have noticed this firsthand, so much can come between us and a great meeting. There are so many moving pieces. And if you really look at it, there are first mile, when you're connecting from home or an office, there are first mile issues like the device that you're using, the Wi-Fi connection, router, how you are connected to your ISPs, and then the internet service provider. And then from there, it traverses multiple things before it reaches the apps. And when you talk about collaborative experiences like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, the apps itself, they have multiple moving pieces. There is an audio connection happening, there is a video connection happening, and then there is a screen sharing component happening. So there are so many moving pieces when you talk about a meeting. And if you want to really understand what is happening across these meetings for all users across organizations, it becomes extremely challenging for IT admins to be able to pinpoint first what the issues are, whether the issue is across whole organization, across a subset of users, or maybe this is a poor meeting happening because of the first mile issues for a device. So there's so much happening, and IT admins have a big challenge. How do they look at these meeting analytics on these specific dashboards that Microsoft Teams and Zoom provide? And then how do they correlate that with a digital experience management tool like ADEM? So there is a lot of manual correlation. There is a lot of swivel chair monitoring, as people refer it, moving from one dashboard to another, and this results in uh, poor experiences for the customers, poor experiences for the IT admins. The value proposition of this integration with both Zoom and Microsoft Teams is to simplify this problem. How do you make it the most seamless experience for the IT admins to be able to correlate what is happening on the call quality side of things and what is happening on the device, LAN, internet, and all of the service chain aspects? And how do you correlate the impacts that you're seeing on the meeting to the first mile, middle mile, and the last mile issues that you see here? That's the main value proposition of this integration. So the biggest focus, exceptional and secure user experience. With this integration, we are adding Microsoft Teams along with Zoom. Our main focus is reduce support costs with first industry's first UCaaS meeting root cause analysis, and prioritize organization-wide performance bottlenecks are some of the two key aspects that we would be talking about today. And with the integration, what we will be doing is monitor every aspect of what we just talked about. The device, Wi-Fi, router, ISP, which is bread and butter of AI-powered ADEM and ADEM synthetics, and meeting quality statistics from Microsoft Teams and Zoom, and then the correlation that happens between these two to perform the root cause analysis. And most importantly, all of this can be enabled by IT admins by click of a button. You just need to toggle it to get the information that you seek with the integration that we're talking about. Now, before talking about anything, we'd just like to see how we would what is that integration is all about. What is MS Teams integration before going into how you actually go and enable it in the ADEM interface. Microsoft Teams integration helps identify overall application experience, call quality data for every meeting participated by end users. It provides us quality of service metrics like network latency, loss, jitter, bandwidth for every user, for every meeting on the Teams application. And then ADEM, after getting this data, it correlates the Teams metrics with ADEM's metric to come up with a root cause analysis when a specific user is experiencing issues. So we can drill down we can start with an organization-wide view of what is happening with all the metrics, and then we can drill down into a single meeting that is impacting a subset of user or a single user. With a couple of clicks, you'll be able to go from the bird's eye view to the what is happening on the ground level information. Standard ADEM license is required. We don't AI powered ADEM add-on is not. This is available for base observability license as well as AI powered ADEM. And unlike Zoom integration, customers, they don't need to pay any add-on on the Microsoft Teams side to be able to enable this integration. As long as they have the standard ADEM license, that should be good enough. No additional purchases need to be made. As we go into the presentation, I'll show you how to authorize that connection. But what you need, somebody who is authorizing this connection should be an MS Teams admin, and that's the only requirement. They don't need to purchase any additional license. Unlike Zoom, where they should be customers of the QoS or QSS add-on for Zoom in order to integrate that with ADEM. With Microsoft Teams, you don't need anything. So that's a big advantage of this. All right. So we'll talk about the steps. Before getting into it, they have to authorize themselves to the Teams using their credentials through OAuth. So we would need an MS Teams admin on the ADEM side to be able to authorize this. Non-admin users will not be able to access. On successful login, the admins will be able to view the integration review. Once the required scopes are accepted, the MS Teams app will be activated. The only interface that the customer's admin should be doing is through ADEM. And the app that is created on the Microsoft Teams is completely managed. You don't need to worry about what is the permissions there and all of it. Once you authorize the app from the ADEM side, you don't need to do anything. After the app activation is successful, call quality data will be received on a predefined webhook. And customers additionally have the option to disable the Microsoft Teams integration for their tenant. Okay, so let's jump into how it actually looks, right? The most important thing, the first step is to be able to find a predefined Microsoft Teams in the customer's tenant. There is already one that is preloaded, just like the Zoom predefined one. And this is the test that comes out of the box. For Greenfield customers, this comes out of the box. They don't need to do anything. And it's a predefined test. And if it is not present in some brownfield customers, because people can delete tests, they can reconfigure and do all sorts of things. If that is the case, they can create a new application, but out of the box, this pre-configured MS Teams test comes baked in, right? So all you need to do is click it, edit the app, and the most important thing that you would see here is the application entity, the app ID that you need to associate with. This is already pre-selected, the Microsoft Teams. I'm highlighting this because in case brownfield customers need to create a new one on their own, they have to associate it with Microsoft Teams. And then they have to provide the domains, teams.microsoft team. You can edit this based on your own individual configuration. And this is the button that you see here, enable authorize Microsoft Teams integration. When you press this, it initiates the uh, permissions and all of it. Once a team admin accepts these permissions and the authorization is complete, now it gives you an information initiating Microsoft Teams integration. You have authorized ADEM to receive Microsoft Teams meeting data for your organization. It may take 1 to 2 minutes for ADEM to start receiving. And once this is done, ADEM is ready to receive call records for MS Teams. So post this, if there are any specific user who is participating, and then with any test, you can also enable this test for a specific set of users. So if those set of users that has been enabled by this test participates in a call, the call data will start flowing into it. And you can enable, disable Microsoft Teams integration with the click of a button that you see here. So ADEM will be receiving the Microsoft Teams call quality data after this step. We talked about, after this authorization is done, we talked that there would be an MS Teams app created, but that is completely managed and created by Palo Alto Networks. You don't need to do anything about it. App is configured with publishable URL. The following things are a set of information that the app provides to ADEM. If any of your customers is interested in knowing, hey, what this app provides to ADEM, this is region where this is hosted, redirect URL, authorization scope, webhook endpoint. All of this information is what is shared with it, along with the call quality events that emanate. So you can alternatively, do the same edit MS Team text and disable the configuration if it is not needed. So we have provided that control for the admins, enabling and disabling. Right? So that's how you enable Microsoft Teams integration. A quick thing about how this happens is, when you enable and authorize this organization, this is ADEM integration. When the call starts and call ends, Microsoft Teams sends a notification to ADEM saying that, hey, there is a specific call that included users from your tenant that has just ended, and this is the meeting ID. It comes to us, and then ADEM goes and fetches all the call quality information related to that specific meeting ID that we just received. What this actually means is Microsoft Teams integration does not give us real-time streaming information, unlike Zoom's integration, which happens in real time. And if a meeting happens for 30 minutes, the data, the quality of service data, and all of it starts flowing from the first minute itself. Whereas if for Microsoft, it will only come to us after a specific meeting has ended. So there is a little bit of lag between when we start collecting the data and we start analyzing it. It's a limitation on the Microsoft Teams itself. They have the webhook-based approach rather than the quality of service subscription for Zoom. So that's a big difference that we have to keep in mind when we think about ADEM integration with Zoom versus Microsoft Teams. We'll talk about that at length, but I'm just saying that after a meeting is completed, that's when Microsoft Teams, through this app, indicates that, hey, there is a meeting in this tenant that happened. You might want to fetch this data, and ADEM fetches the data and presents it. Now, we'll go deep into what happens when all of that call quality data comes to us, and then how would we show it, and what kinds of use cases, can the IT admins now perform. All right, the first use case is troubleshooting enterprise-wide performance impact. As I initially mentioned, ADEM integration with Microsoft Teams has a couple of vantage points. One, what is happening organizational-wide? What is happening with all the meetings, right? And the kind of information that we get with that organization-wide dashboard is this Microsoft Teams user experience summary. So how many total minutes have people in an organization or in this specific tenant participated in meetings, and total number of meetings, total number of users. Okay, it gives a breakdown of how many meetings are with issues, how many meetings are without issues. And there is another one which is called unclassified. This is when Microsoft Teams, is not able to collect any call quality data for that specific meeting. It can happen for multiple reasons. In Microsoft Teams documentation, it says that, hey, maybe the call was not long enough for me to capture the QSS metrics, or maybe there is something. Sometimes there are data gaps that happen on the Microsoft side, and when that happens, it sends unclassified issues with the call quality event. So that's the reason. If Microsoft sends us all the data that we need for all meetings, this is how the data will be represented, right? And then we have a breakdown of, from a user perspective, the percentage of users who had issues, who are just fine, and then classified. And then you have this global distribution of impacted users to identify regional hotspots. Like when you talk about Microsoft Teams, you say that, hey, it's happening for this region, but it is not happening for the Australia region that you see here. 95 total users, 87 are good, but there are 8 users that are poor. There are 2 users here that are having poor meeting issues. So you get that enterprise-wide performance overview for Microsoft Teams. And you can also understand what are the main root causes that are causing these bad performance meetings, right? So here you have, the segment-wise breakdown of device, local area network, Wi-Fi caused 2 performance meeting, LAN caused 5 performance meeting, and then device caused another, there are 12, right? So 5 poor performing meeting for device due to high CPU consumption. And this bar will be broken down into multiple components of a segment. Local area has jitter, jitter, latency, and packet loss. Device has memory and CPU. So it will be broken down into the percentage of it is due to high CPU versus high memory, LAN loss, and then all of it, that breakage. And you can also, when you click on it, you can also see the breakdown on the right side. And it's not just about whether we are able to tell which specific segment is causing the problem. We will also be able to identify, a potential remediation. I mean, I know we'll do a best effort in identifying these remediation, but it also tells you what is wrong with each of these individual and any specific remediation that the customer or the admin can take to reduce that. So we not only pinpoint the root cause aspect, but also, respective remediations or given right to the customer. So the biggest advantage of this enterprise-wise performance overview is it helps you understand, how your whole deployment of Microsoft Teams is performing over time, right? We will go into the individual users issue, but right up there, it'll tell you that, hey, how many people, as a percentage, how many people are having bad meeting performance versus good meeting performance. That's the main value proposition of this view that we're seeing. Now, moving on to that, we did talk about it. ADEM provides you that drill down where you can see what is happening at an organizational level, but you can, from the same dashboard, drill down to an individual user who might be having an issue, who might be raising a ticket saying that, hey, I have been having consistent poor performing issues. You need to help me out. So from the bird's eye view, 10,000 feet to the ground level information can be obtained with a single click. And the user details that you that you can obtain, or again, broken down into total elapsed times, total number of meetings. And if for a specific meeting that a user has attended, we can also break it down into audio, video, and screen sharing. How many meetings did the user face audio related issues? How many meetings did the user face video related issues and screen sharing related issues? All of that is broken down. And when you go into, so if somebody is saying, hey, my video is freezing when I'm connecting with Zoom today, this is how you break that down and say that, hey, for this specific user, there are 6 meetings that had poor video performance. Then click on those and then go to the meetings. And then you can explain, any potential issue. You can understand the root causes and you can, offer any remediations for that. right? So this is the user's view, and the last view that we saw was for the organization level view. Another big advantage of the user view is this calendar based view that we can show for a specific period of time all the meetings that happen, and we can color code them with meetings that are bad, meetings that are good, and when users click on any specific individual meeting. So for example, in this one of the calendar view, pick a meeting that doesn't look good to you. It goes into per meeting telemetry, gives you all the detail about the quality of service metrics like jitter, packet loss, bandwidth, and it also tells you the performance impact, which is good, poor, and start time, end time, how many participants. Most importantly, if this is supposed to be a poor performing meeting, it gives you a list of issues that you see here. Hey, unstable network for video, and all of it. So at least it explains why there is an issue, and it attempts to provide some sort of remediation if it is able to provide one. I know we are day to day we are increasing and enhancing our remediation and root causing aspect of ADEM. So these remediations are only going to get more intelligent and more actionable moving forward. So customers will have a greater advantage of the AI-powered ADEM side of things that will help us, build better remediation and root causing. So that's the user view. And I know I'll leave this at a very high level. This is how Microsoft Teams measure performance of a meeting, and this is the published recommendation from the Microsoft itself. So we get the data, call quality data from Microsoft, and do our own analytics, but we will follow the judgment and the verdict of Microsoft Teams when it says that a specific meeting is poor or bad, right? So we will not build any new methodology. We did not build any new methodology to say that the meeting performance is poor or bad. We just follow Microsoft Teams. So the reason we do that is there is no discrepancy between what users see on the Microsoft Teams dashboard and what they see on the ADEM. It would be uniform, but this is how it is. So I won't go deep into it, but I just left it on the slide for you for your future reference. Now, what we'll quickly do is this is a pre-recorded demo. I was able to get this from one of the NPI trainings that we had, and now we will quickly go through, cover all the aspects, and I will also walk you through. Please let me know if this is not visible. I know initial parts of it will be very blurry, but give it some time. It will come in. Khurram, can you tell me if you're able to see this properly?
Yeah, I can see.
All right. So
I think it's still loading, but I can see.
yeah, it is still loading. I just wanted to make sure that the bandwidth, yeah, here you're able to see this, right? So the first step, I will be stopping this and starting to walk through this demo. So you go to SEM, you go to applications, and you select the scope to be Prisma Access only, because if you select NGFW, you will not see the ADEM test. So Prisma Access scope, and then you will see the managed tests here, right? The managed tests, and then you'll go and find the Microsoft Teams predefined test here. You click on it, and then you see this mobile users. You'll see the Microsoft Teams, and you'll see the enable authorization. So they will come, they'll check the Microsoft Teams application entity, and they will authorize the Microsoft Teams. When they do it, you'll see the following information coming in, and then the scope select as the permissions requested. And then once you accept it, it will create that app and take you to this screen. You've authorized Microsoft Teams, and then you have initiated, and you're done. This is how you start you do the integration. And when you saving of the test is most important, because when you save the test, the authorization and all of that is committed to all the backends that are needed. So by just enabling the authorization, you'll not be able to see the data. You should be saving the test as well. That's some of the feedback that we have been getting from customers. when they authorize everything and they don't see. Now we have enabled it. Now we'll see uh, all of the things that we talked about, right? Application detail, org level, performance overview of Microsoft Teams and all of it. So click on Microsoft Teams. We are looking at the application level detail, which means for Microsoft Teams, what is happening across the org is what we are seeing here. So there is a specific tab, Microsoft Teams Performance Analysis, that is here, that will contain all the information that we talked about. So yeah, here it shows total elapsed time, total meetings, total number of users, ADEM users, whether those users have ADEM licenses or not, Microsoft Teams boot performance, root causes, who are the users experiencing impacted meetings, and global distribution of impacted users is visible. Now, what we will do is what we will do is for a specific time period, let's say 24 hours, we'll see what is happening. So we are drilling down into what is happening at a different period. There are 3 users who are impacted. So what we'll do is we'll pick one of the users who probably would have raised a ticket, right? And then we'll click on the users to see how the experience has fared for them. You go to the experience and then you select the Microsoft Teams. That's for a user view. You might have multiple applications configured for the same user. So you need to select the Microsoft Teams predefined test that you have enabled in order to see the information. When you see that, you see the Microsoft Teams performance analysis here. So this information is now drilled down to that one specific user who probably would have reached out to help desk saying that, hey, I have a bad issue. So you went to the organizational level view, application details view, you selected a time period when that meeting happened, and you picked all the users who might have been impacted, and then you drill down to the specific user, right? So now you see that, hey, there is one meeting that is of an issue, and that meeting is here, amber in color. You see that the Microsoft Teams experience, that is, the color coding is poor. So when you click on the experience, you'll see individual meeting telemetry. It is already clicked. So when you go down, you see the individual Microsoft Teams integration telemetry here. Yeah, that's a summary, and this is the individual meeting telemetry that you see here. And the issue list here, the meeting date, and all of the information with the quality of service parameters, network latency, jitter, packet loss, and all of it. Right, so going from application level details to sorry, just a minute. Application level details to a user to troubleshoot. Just a minute. All right. Okay. Sorry. I didn't know how to get out of it. So that's the demo. And the next thing is, I know we talked about, ADEM now supporting Microsoft Teams as well as Zoom. Some of the questions that might surface related to this, and something that you need to know about is, we talked about it, Zoom QSS versus MS Teams API-based approach, which means that QSS is an add-on paid subscription that the customer has to procure before integrating with ADEM. Whereas MS Teams API, if you have an MS Teams tenant and you have an MS Teams admin who is using ADEM, they can pretty much do it without any additional thing. And we talked about Zoom's push-based, wherein a meeting starts and every minute data is pushed into ADEM by Zoom, whereas Microsoft Teams post meeting, it sends an event saying that a specific meeting on your tenant has ended, and MS Teams will fetch the data by getting all of the information. So which means the meeting granularity would be different. Zoom is able to highlight poor performing minutes within a specific meeting. So if there is a meeting that happens for 30 minutes, it'll be able to tell 15 minutes of that meeting is good or bad. Whereas Microsoft Teams uses a holistic understanding of how to mark a specific meeting as good or bad, uh, without leaving it to the users who fetch the data to tell what is right and what is wrong. So the granularity of information is different, but the compelling nature of how you can go from call quality data and how do you stitch together all of that data with ADEM synthetics to provide remediations and all of it remains the same. There are just some modalities of the integration, and everything else is the same. We talked about it. So call records available from MS Teams 30 minutes after the call. And then Teams login should match with GP login name. That's one of the criteria, because if the login credentials and the username and all of it is a mismatch, then we'll not be able to collect or connect that information that you get from Microsoft Teams to ADEM. So some key specific aspects that I wanted to call out here when it comes to architecture. And root cause analysis, I don't want to go deep into it, but at a very high level, call quality data for all participants is received. There are specific configured thresholds, which Teams uses to identify whether a meeting is bad. And it's not just about the meeting. Individual streams will be checked, like audio, video, and screen sharing, for any specific threshold limits that have breached. And Microsoft automatically identifies whether a meeting is poor or good. So when we get that a meeting is poor, ADEM agent captures data from device every 5 minutes, right? If meeting status is poor, then we show the root causes for the agent metrics. Wi-Fi, local LAN, internet is the specific priority that we use. So for a specific poor meeting, if you have all three working bad, we will mark Wi-Fi segment as the root cause. If we have only a local LAN that is performing, then we will do local LAN. If all three are done, then Wi-Fi will get the preference. Device issues like high CPU can also cause the issues. So the logic on the ADEM side is, I got a poor meeting from Microsoft Teams. Where do I put the root causes? And all that logic is within Microsoft Teams, within the ADEM agent itself. Meeting status is calculated for each meeting. This is the Microsoft Teams side of things. And that's how we do it, root cause analysis. I think with that, we have come to the end of the webinar.